Hi, welcome to Pop Cult X. This week we are starting the celebration of Hispanic Heritage Month. As always, Danny waving, saying hello, and myself, Gabriel, as your co-host, bringing everything pop culture with a Gen X point of view. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Like I mentioned, we are in the midst of Hispanic Heritage Month. So the first topic we wanted to talk about is culture. What's the first movie you think of that really celebrated or is symbolic or meaningful in regards to Hispanic heritage or culture? What's pops into your mind, Danny?
Well, when I was thinking about that, I was working in a movie theater in the mid to late 90s, and this really stuck out with me. So in 1997, the movie Selena came out. Of course, it's a biopic about the life and times of Selena. What's her last name? De Cantilla, I think. I can't. Quintanilla. Thank you. Yes. But it was starring Jennifer Lopez, of course. And what really spoke to me the most, not only did it celebrate her life and her music, but it was just how much she meant to the people, the Hispanic people and Mexican people in particular, because every single showing was sold out for probably a good month. It had probably 5 showings a day, and it was just full. And I was just like, why? To that point, I didn't know who she was. Mm-hmm. I kind of knew who J-Lo was because, she was a dancer in Living Color. So, but I was like, who's this Selena? Why is she popular? And I watched the movie and I realized, oh, wow, she is very talented. And then, of course, this was before the internet was really widespread. So you had to go track down really to hear the music. So I went and I found some of her songs. She was a talented performer. And it really moved me in a way that I was like, I think more now so than back then. It's just seeing pre-internet days, how much she was able to reach everyone. I mean, if you think about it now, people have Twitter, they have Instagram, they have TikTok, whatever social media platform. So it's a little bit easier to get your music out, to get your message spread to everyone. Back then, that wasn't there. It was all word of mouth, right? It was all radio shows and just the spreading of how far and wide she was. And that was really what first movie really made me think of Hispanic culture there.
Yeah, I think Selena is a great film because it really brings to the popular audience the life of Selena and her accomplishments. I actually was one of those people that didn't know too much about her until her passing. When she passed and was murdered, that's when I sort of was aware of her. I was never a big fan of Tejano music, so it wasn't really in my sphere of influence. But once I did see her movie, and then I saw the music and I saw how passionate people were, I started listening to the music and became a really big fan. Unfortunately, it was after her passing, so it's kind of bittersweet. But she did have a huge mark on Latino, Chicano culture, especially the Tex-Mex culture. And I think for a lot of Mexican Americans, she was a really important symbol because she there's that part of the movie where it's like, you're not Mexican enough for Mexicans, you're not American enough for Americans. Right. And so many of us Mexican Americans feel that way. And so I think that's why so many people relate. It's like that American Chicano generation of us that kind of feels out of place everywhere, but at home in both worlds at the same time. So that's what I really like. For me, as far as like me thinking back about like what's the first, quote Hispanic or Chicano movie that I can remember. One of the first movies that I remember going to the movie theater to see was American Me with Edward James Olmos. It was at that time when they were making a lot of like gangster, Chicano films. Edward James Olmos playing, like the veterano within, that film. And it's very much a subculture of Chicano, that's the unfortunate part of when those movies became popular is people started to think that it was representative of all Chicanos, which it is not, but it is definitely a subculture or a segment of the community. So I think that it's fine making those movies with the understanding that, yeah, this is just a segment of our community. And I'm not in the of the perspective that we need to get rid of all those kind of movies that like may portray us in a negative light or in a stereotypical light. We just need more positive portrayals as well, because then we get a more well-rounded image of who we are as a people. But that's the first movie that comes to mind. The music of like the Art Laboe oldies, the visuals of Cholo style, gangster style, all of that, the acting, great actors. Yeah. You almost actually have the look right now. And
I just got to button this up. Hold on.
Yeah, it was really remarkable. It was really, specific moment in time when those movies were really popular, and people still watch them, especially of our generation. Like you said, Blood In, Blood Out. Like people know the words to the dialogue, but by heart. They can those characters are really, ingrained into their subconscious. So that for me is sort of, what I think of.
Yeah, definitely. And I think while we're on the topic of filmmakers, I think one of the most prolific ones, and not only for his films, but for what he brings to what he gives back in like his guerrilla filmmaking school. And you mentioned him, I saw on Twitter, and that's Robert Rodriguez. And I think as much as he's heralded by everyone, I don't think he gets lifted up enough for what he's brought to the Hispanic and Mexican filmmaking industry. And I think we should do more of that. I mean, some of his movies I just watch all the time, like Planet Terror, like you said, El Mariachi, Desperado, Once Upon a Time in Mexico. It's the last part of the trilogy of that. It's there. I like it. Machete Kills, and I think just as a filmmaker and a storyteller, and it leads into what I was going to next, because he's also one of the showrunners for the Book of Boba Fett and Star Wars. But give me your thoughts on Robert Rodriguez before I move on to that.
Well, I'm a big fan, and I think that aside from the films, which I love, I'm a fan of his DIY approach to filmmaking. He saw that he had this passion for filmmaking. He famously, made his first movie, I think, for like $5,000, $10,000. And I think that that's an important lesson for a lot of people within the art community, is if you want to see something, you can go out and make it. And I know that that's easier said than done. Personally, I know it's easier said than done, but there's a lot to be said about, kind of just, bearing down and going through with your convictions and making sure that you create what you want to see out in the world. And he definitely did that, and he got rewarded for that. He was acknowledged, and it was a great film, and people, it created his, his, oh God, what would you call it? His brand and his filmmaking style. Yeah. I think that one thing, I think that part of the reason why, maybe people don't really hold him up as like an iconic Latino, legend or icon, is a lot of times when you're not like over the top Latino, like if you're like Mexican American, you sort of get viewed as just like American or just like a regular filmmaker, which is like a double-edged sword, right? Like you want to be viewed like everyone else. You don't want to be a Mexican filmmaker. You want to be a filmmaker. And I think that the type of movies he makes, even though there is the trilogy of like El Mariachi, and it really is have anything to do with our culture, that are just fun films, that he does still sprinkle in his perspective and has a diverse cast, but not like in your face, like this is Mexican culture. So I think that might be a bit of why he's not seen as like a Mexican filmmaker. He's just like the action filmmaker. And which I think is, I mean, you can view it both ways. And I think I do think that he is an icon within our community. And I think a lot of people do celebrate him that way. But I think he's also celebrated on like being able to get films done with like not the biggest budget, because he's so creative in the ways that he's able to get those films done. One of his projects that I'm a big fan of is the Lady Gaga and Ariana Grande video that have like the special effects of Rain on Me. And he did a really great job with that. And I mean, it's not necessary. He did such a good job. And I think that he is like a go-to director within Hollywood for a specific style, a specific like look and vibe. So I'm excited to see what he has to do with these Disney Star Wars type things.
Yeah, the Book of Boba Fett, which I know and The Mandalorian, which he's also, I think, directed one of them. They're bringing in a lot of Latinos into Star Wars, which is funny because we joked around with, I think last year during Hispanic Heritage Month, about not seeing Mexicans or Latinos in space, right? We joked around with one of our guests. So now we have Diego Luna, Pedro Pascal, Oscar Isaac, Rosario Dawson, although she plays an alien. And even to a lesser extent, even Jimmy Smits was already up in there. So it's really cool. I find it fascinating that Star Wars is being more diverse in its casting. So I'm really appreciative of that as well.
Yeah. And it's great to see this like next generation of Latino or Latinx performers be able to get into the spotlight or get some representation. I saw a really cool movie over the weekend. It's a real fun movie. It's called Do Revenge, and it's literally like watching a teen comedy from the 90s. Like the aesthetic, the jokes, the music is like, I think the music is like 100% from the 90s. I feel like, or like heavily based on the 90s. They have like Hole. They had Harvey Danger. Tons of music. So, of course, I loved it. Not to give too much away about the movie, but the main lead is actually a Latina actress, which is really great. Her name is Camila Mendez. She is a Brazilian American actress, and she's really great in it. She is someone who is basically out to get revenge on some people. And so the theme is sort of like being petty and going for revenge, which I like.
Why not?
It's my wheelhouse of not forgetting and not forgiving. But it's really fun. Like it reminds you of like if you had Clueless, if you put like Mean Girls, Heathers, what is it? Scarlet A with that movie and like blended them all together, you would get this movie. Like there's like the fashion, there's the comedy, there's like the black humor. So it's really fun and entertaining. It definitely is like a good weekend movie or like late night binge. I think that it has the potential of being like a like kind of a cult classic because it definitely has some really cool black humor in it. And so it's one of the things that was kind of interesting though is that it has what is her name? The actress from not House of Dragons, Game of Thrones. She's married to a Jonas brother, and she was in the X-Men. She plays a really funny like cameo. She's in it for like
I think I know who you're talking
second. About. It's actually really funny. The redheaded girl, she's really beautiful. I think she might be like Scottish or Irish. Let's see if I can find Sophie Turner. So she does a brief cameo in the and it's a really good. Actually, she's from the UK. She does a really great cameo in it, so it's really entertaining. It's fun. I recommend it to anyone who wants like a not lighthearted, but like a light comedy that's not like a deep, heavy film. It's sort of shallow.
You don't have to think about it too much.
It has cool like meaning to it, like as far as like. Yeah, like there's like some forgiveness that you kind of have to like thematically and change. Or there's a cool story arc, so it's worth the watch.
Cool. Very cool. Yeah. I will. That's on my list. I remember I saw the trailer for it, or I saw something that mentioned it, and I was like, "That looks interesting. What is that about?" So I'll be sure to check that out.
Yeah, it's cool. And like I said, it has a really cool, diverse cast. I really like seeing the new generation of like, you know, young people that are from various different backgrounds getting the opportunity to be in new roles, because sometimes we tend to see the same people. Especially when you have conversations like this for like Hispanic Heritage Month, we bring up, John Leguizamo or Salma Hayek.
Right.
Those are all great. They're like all my favorite people. I love them. But there are a lot of young people that are doing exciting things. And so as an example, some people that like have really been on like my radar lately are Tyler Posey. He's an actor and musician. He's filming right now the Teen Wolf movie. Someone else that let me see, I forgot the name of the other person, but she was in The Heights. She was in The Heights.
Was she the one that was supposed to be Batgirl, right?
No, that's someone else. I am thinking about, let's see if I can find her name, Melissa Barrera. So she played like a romance lead to,
right,
I think Anthony, I forget his last name.
Ramos,
yeah. So she was like the romance. She was also in Vita. She's a Mexican-American actress on, I think that was Stars. So she's been in a lot of really cool things. She's like beautiful. She can sing, she can dance, like all well-rounded. Some other people that I've actually been tweeting about or like talking about when it comes to Hispanic Heritage Month is Alexis Bledel. She is also a Mexican-American actress. She was in oh my God, Handmaid's Tale. And she plays like a different character in there. She's a really great actress. She was in Gilmore Girls when she was a bit younger. We have Bella Thorne, who's like really popular. I believe she's Cuban American. And she's sort of like infamous. She's sort of a rebel within Hollywood. So there's like a lot of really cool people that are coming out. You mentioned, I think, Diego Luna. I mentioned him on my Twitter and on my Facebook. He's one of my favorite actors. So there's like a plethora of young talent that is out that are really making some really cool things, doing some really great things and not sticking into that box of like stereotypical roles. They're like actually getting really cool, meaty, good roles that are able to portray. So I'm really happy to see that. Is there anyone else that like is out right now that is kind of got your attention?
Well, I mean, there's like the Zoe Saldana's of the world, right? She's always gets the good roles, I guess. She's like one of the Hollywood's go-to persons. But before I get into other people, because I got to think of them, one thing I noticed though when you're talking about all the next generation of Latino stars is that they all seem to be multi-talented. So they're more than just actors. They're actors. They're also singers. They're also dancers. They have all these hats or roles they can play within the entertainment industry. And I wonder if that's because that's by necessity. Like it's just, they don't want you as an actor, but they want you to sing. Or they don't want you to sing, but they want you to dance. Or is it just that they're so talented that they could just do it all? I'm hoping it's the latter. But
yeah, I think that it's part of the evolution of just society, is that in our parents' generation, you were really sort of told to focus on one thing and then do it really well and then do it for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
I think we're even examples, you and I, of, being passionate about different things and, not to toot our own horn, but being good in a various, different things. We're both photographers, we're both artists. We're obviously hosting a podcast. So we talk about pop culture and, writing and being able to style models or our clients and doing a lot of things because, we don't have big budgets like a lot of other photographers. So kind of being like,
that Robert, the DIY stuff.
Kind of figuring out our own thing. And so that's just, I think, how people are nowadays. Like, if you want to get things done, you have to figure things out and you have to make it work. That's kind of like, I think, the saying of Tim Gunn from Project Runway, like, make it work.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that, there's a lot of examples now of how people are, passionate about something, and they're like, oh, do you dance? If I don't know how to dance, I'll learn how to dance. Can you sing? Oh, I'll sing. Like, you just want to be able to say yes to as many things as possible, and like try to come up with a good product. Obviously people aren't good at everything. You have your natural strengths and things that you can practice and become better
Mm-hmm.
at. But I just think that now you're allowed to do so many different things. You can spread yourself across a lot of different, genres, a lot of different, art. You can be a painter and a photographer,
Right.
or you can be a writer and movie director. Like, you don't have to stick into one niche. So it's kind of cool. Like, and I appreciate those kind of people, because they kind of prove that you're not done at a certain age. You're not done at a certain plateau. You can continue to evolve, and your interests change as you get older, and you can pivot, and you can go in a different direction, and you can be successful in that direction.
Right. Totally agree. And while you were talking about that, I found what was that?
There's a bit of a delay.
Yes, I noticed. One person that I want to bring up, that because you asked me if any other next generation who I thought of, and it popped into my head while you were speaking, and that is Jenny Ortega, who's of course going to be playing Wednesday Addams in the new series Wednesday. She caught my eye when she was in the latest rendition of Scream. And as the lead role in that, and I guess she's become kind of the new Scream queen. I guess she's taken a lot of horror film roles, so that's pretty cool. So she's one to look out for, I guess, if you want to look for the next generation.
Yeah, and that's a series that I'm really looking forward to, because I think that role could be really iconic for her. So far, I have really high hopes. I know that there's some controversial casting decisions that they made, having a Latina actress play Wednesday Addams, having God, I can't think of his name, play
Louis
Gomez
Guzman.
Addams. I forget his name. Yeah, Luis Guzman. Him being, not attractive enough or not suave enough, but being more true to the comic character. And then Catherine Zeta-Jones, I'm not a fan of hers, but I will look forward to the series. I really hope it does well. I mean, I believe that it's going to focus on Wednesday Addams, and I really hope it's like a star vehicle for that actress, because it has the makings of it being a really cool series, a really cool role for her, and I'm all for having more Latino people shown as like creepy or weird or gothic, because we rarely get, like, we're always shown as like gangsters or hip hop, or but there are so many like goth, punk rock, like weirdos that are also Latino, that I think is like a really cool segment of our community that is never shown. So I can't wait to see that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, growing up in high school, I think the majority of like the goth were Hispanic or Mexican in my school. So I'm looking forward to this series a lot.
Well, it makes sense, because Mexican culture is sort of goth. Like, it's very much like death, the macabre, superstitious, the music. So it makes sense that Mexicans or Latinos in general would gravitate towards goth culture, because it's, it has a lot of things that would appeal to us culturally. And I think that that's just like indicative of what our culture is like. And so it makes sense. So I can't wait to see that. That's something that I'm really looking forward to.
Yeah, me too. I think
so that's all that I saw. Did you see anything this weekend that kind of you wanted to discuss?
I did watch a few things, but I will save it until I get more caught up. I finally started Rings of Power, the Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power show on Amazon Prime. And I will share my thoughts, but I liked it. I'll just share that. I thought it was right in line with Peter Jackson's movies, and it picked up right from there. I mean, it didn't pick up because it's a prequel many centuries before, but it had that same sort of vibe, and people getting all crazy about having a black hobbit or a Harfoot or whatever. They're just crazy. It fit right in. It didn't miss a beat. I just thought it was perfectly done. I really enjoyed it, but I'll save that for a future episode.
Yeah. That's all I really know about it, because I'm not like a Lord of the Rings, like fantasy. I don't even know if is that fantasy genre.
Yeah.
But like, I want to watch it just to support Black Hobbits, because I'm so tired of people saying that Black people can't play mermaids, hobbits, angels, whatever the fuck. It's so stupid. There's literally no rational reason why a Black actor can't play these fantasy characters. It's stupid. I think we need to stop entertaining the argument, ignore them. They want attention. So like, let's just enjoy the content that's being created, and ignore, like, don't even address it. It's so ridiculous. It's stupid.
It really is. And their argument is, well, in that case, I'm going to make a Malcolm X movie with a white guy as Malcolm X or something like that. And it's like, wait, you're taking a fantasy creature and compared to a real life person. They make me so mad. So mad.
Yeah. That's so stupid. Or, a character that their arc, or, it's integral to their character that they're a person of color, like Black Panther, and them saying, well, you would be upset if, but Black Panther, it's important that he's African. It's important that he's Black. Like, it's part of who he is.
Right.
Yeah, like I could, there are characters that are, maybe Black or Latino that you could argue, well, they could be played by a white person or an Asian, and I would be okay with that if we had other roles that Blacks and Hispanics and Asians were playing. But like, you're wanting to take the few roles that we do have away from us. Like, give me a break. Like, you've had, like, how many princesses have they had? Like, they've had like 15 or 14 Disney princesses. Now you only have one with Black, and you're like crying about it. Like, go watch Snow White again then. Go watch Sleeping Beauty. You've had them all this time. You're just being a spoiled brat, and a racist spoiled brat.
There you go.
Get over it. Yeah. So anyway.
I did want to, if we come to actually, I do kind of want to break up our LatinXcellence into a few episodes, if you don't mind. So like, this episode, we focused a lot on the filmmaking and movies and actors. I think next episode, teaser for everyone out there, is going to be focused a lot on the music. I think that'll be really good, just to focus on the music, and then subsequently focus on like the art and maybe the writing and narratives and poetry even. So stay tuned for that, everyone. I did want to close out on something that we've gotten away from a little bit, and that's nonprofit highlights. And so I found this nonprofit called the Rainforest Foundation US, and the website is rainforestfoundation.org. And their mission is to support indigenous and traditional peoples of the world's rainforests in their efforts to protect their environment and fulfill their rights by assisting them in securing and controlling the natural resources necessary for their long-term well-being, and managing these resources in ways which do not harm the environment. They also develop the means to protect their individual and collective rights to obtain, shape, control basic services from the state. So it's really a way for them to help the indigenous people who are there on the ground in the rainforest. They're the ones that they're supporting to help them protect their own lands. So I thought that was really cool, because it's not just, us coming up with ways to cut carbon and other climate change charities that are out there. I found this one, I thought it was important because they're actually supporting the boots on the ground, so to speak, of those people who are there doing what they can to protect the rainforest.
Yeah, and thank you, because I think we did get a little sidetracked, and we haven't focused on our nonprofit for a bit. But it's never too late, and it's better late than never. So yeah, definitely check out that organization and contribute to their success. I will definitely be going and looking into more of that. And if our audience has a recommendation for us to mention a nonprofit or an organization that's doing good out there, please send it our way, because we need more positivity and more action when it comes to change out there for the positive. So please let us know. And like you said, we are going to be discussing Latino music, Hispanic music. I'm going to go listen to some Bad Bunny right now in order to prepare. But if you have anything that you want us to focus on or maybe recommend, please let us know. Leave a comment. Put a link to a video or to their Instagram. I would love to discover some new music to listen to, because I'm always down to find someone new. So let us know if there's someone you would recommend.
Yeah, definitely. Let us know.
This time delay is really working out well for us. So with that, our episode has come to an end. We do want to thank all of our viewers and listeners. Please like and subscribe. Please interact with us on all of our social media. Until next week, stay safe, and we'll see you next week.